What's up, guys? Welcome to Muse Themes again. This is Ashton Bingham. Today we have an awesome re-release of our Rouge theme, fully updated as a responsive website, which is really exciting. If you haven't yet seen our Rouge theme, it's a very elegant theme styled around the tone of a makeup artist or fashion line or really any kind of creative studio. Here on the live demo, we open with a very simple but stylish menu header, accompanied by this full-width carousel gallery that you can cycle through with these arrow prompts. If I scroll down, we've got some interactive buttons with some stylish rollover effects, including this large full-width button with this really awesome video implementation, and when clicked, takes you to this full-screen video function, which is a great way to showcase your demo reel, video portfolio, what have you. And you can click out of it simply with this animated close button here on the top left corner. And scrolling to the bottom, we have some calls to action and some article links, contact info, etc. And as I said, this has been fully reworked as a responsive site. So if I scale my browser width down, everything is responding beautifully all the way down to a really stylish mobile site. I'll scroll up and we'll click to our About page. We open with this super slick horizontal accordion slider showcasing the team members. And you can easily click throughout the slides like so. And scrolling down, again, plenty of space for information and calls to action using some really fashionable typeface here in colors that are easy on the eyes. And what I really like about this theme is that it lets the work speak for itself. It's not trying too hard, but still has a really high-end feel. Now really quick, let's click to our portfolio page. Here we have a really eye-popping usage of our Media Pro Gallery 2 widget, showing a responsive portfolio gallery here with some awesome rollover features and a lightbox for each photo upon clicking. And lastly, to our contact page. More calls to action, including this really awesome scroll effect here, with of course our contact information here at the bottom. So we're going to dive right into Muse and take a look at some of the finer points of this theme. Now there's nothing extremely complicated in here, but rather a few really unique ways of using some of our classic tools. Now when you first open the site in Muse after downloading the zip file, as always you're probably going to get this warning message saying that there are asset links missing. That's just Muse telling you that all the assets for this theme are no longer located where they were when the project was last opened on our end. But you can easily relink them on your end using the Assets panel, which we'll get into in a minute. On the left, we're working with 4 separate master pages, all kind of serving a different purpose. And remember, you can always click up here to change the plan view layout to the more classic style if you prefer. So there's 4 masters down here and 4 top-level pages, with some child pages down here for extra content. Our first master page here is the landing master page, which also has the most content in it, and it also houses the majority of the pages here on the site. So we'll go ahead and click into that. First things first, let me pop open that Assets panel. Now you're probably going to see a little question mark next to most, if not all, of the assets, but like I said, this is a simple fix. Let's take this asset here called Arrow L. It's a PNG image for our left arrow graphic. Now if we select this asset and right-click on it, we can select this first option of Relink. This will then bring up a Finder window for you to now tell Muse where that asset is now located. Now assuming you've moved your files to the location of your preference, you simply now have to navigate to it. Here I have the root folder of the download, and inside we have an Assets folder, so I'll go ahead and click into that. And now we just need to find the matching file. And by sorting alphabetically, we can find it very easily. We'll select it and click Open. Now you'll probably find that when you first do that, many of the assets will now suddenly be linked. And that happens now that Muse is now finding multiple of your missing assets in this newly discovered folder. Now one more really important thing to note here is that some of your assets will not be included in your theme download. And this happens from time to time depending on the stock images that we've used in the live demo. When we provide a theme to members, the idea is to kind of give you a framework to incorporate your own imagery and replace the general visuals for you to use to match with what you're promoting. A lot of the times we're limited by copyright restrictions with these images and don't have the permission to distribute them. But rather they were just used on our live demo to kind of give you an idea of the intended appearance or function of a particular section. So if you see a missing asset, all you need to do is provide some imagery of your own to replace it with. So we have a 5 breakpoint setup here. each of which are fixed width, which is what's allowing us the few uses of scroll effects that you probably saw in the live demo. And as I click through these, you can see they're all very nice and evenly spread out, all the way down to our 320 breakpoint, showing a nice uniform vertical layout of all of our content. Now, what's cool is this particular master page has a really large footer, so there's lots of room for you to add social media links, or profiles, article links, or just about anything you'd want. So let's click out of here and we'll head over to our home page, starting off here on the top with our Carousel slider widget. Now we have it set to full width and it's sitting right here underneath our header, giving us a really dynamic intro to the site. And make sure to check out the tutorial on this widget for some more information on sizing. It's important to note that as the widget sits now, it has a preset height, which right now is set to 475. And that's also noted inside of the widget settings panel. And you can of course customize this, but the tutorial on this widget will give you additional tips on how to size your images to reduce the amount of cropping and ensure optimal performance. And I'll also note that the carousel slider is only present here on the topmost breakpoint, as this is a widget that's only formatted for desktop layouts. On the lower breakpoints here, you'll still see a slideshow, but rather a Muse slideshow widget. This way you'll only be seeing one image at a time, rather than a carousel of 3 at once, which is better for mobile layouts anyway. Let me pop back up to the top breakpoint. Scrolling down a bit, we have this link to the demo reel, and I really like this feature. Let's take one more look at the demo for reference. What we have first is the initial image of the makeup brushes, and on hover, the image goes away, revealing a full-width video. So back in Muse, if I select this topmost rectangle, looking at our states menu, set to our normal state, we can then click inside of our fill menu, and we can see that it's filled with the image file and it's set to an opacity of 100. But if I click over to our rollover state, back in the fill menu, we can now see that that opacity changes to 0. And what that's doing is effectively revealing the layer underneath this rectangle. So if I move this topmost one out of the way for just a moment, let's take a look at what's underneath. We're now working with another rectangle, which is just serving as this pink color overlay. And then beneath that, we have our full width video widget, to which you can select, click the blue icon, and replace with any video of your choosing. Just make sure, as always, to include both the MP4 and WebM versions of your video. So that's kind of a simple concept in nature, but it's used in a really unique way for the sake of an interactive button, which I really love. So let me go ahead and put all of this back. Now lastly, if I select the play button, we can see it has a hyperlink set to go to the video page, which is a child page to the home page. So let's pop out to our plan view. And we can see a child page here sitting underneath home titled video. We'll click into that. And we just have a blank black screen with this state button here in the top left corner. And here on the far left side of the canvas, we can see an animation widget placed here, and that's connected to our button with a graphic style. That's what's giving it that rotating animation when this button is hovered over. And then finally beneath that is our Show Video Suite widget, which is using a background video component set to full screen. So no matter what size of your computer browser, the video inside will fill the screen nicely and entirely. So let's jump back out to our plan view once again, as there's a few more details I want to point out here. We have our About page, which is sitting on top of a child page called Article. And you may have seen the various article links throughout the site and the footers specifically, and those are all linked to this article page. And what's cool is you can just right-click on this page and select Duplicate Page, and you can create as many separate articles as you want as time goes on. But I'm just going to go ahead and click into our About page. And I want to take a look at this accordion. Now, at first glance, this is a really unique function to Muse, but ironically, all it is a basic accordion widget from the regular Muse widget library. The trick is that it's been rotated 90 degrees, now serving as a horizontal accordion. And there's some pretty genius design here going on with the image fills. With this first panel expanded, this looks as though it's all one large photo of the woman's face, but there's actually 2 separate image fills going on here. If I select the trigger, you can see one image outlined, which in our fill menu is labeled as Team 3 Thumb. And if I select the expanded area, we can now see the second photo outlined. And in our fill menu, it's labeled as Team 3 Hero. So it's basically one large photo cropped into two separate photos and sized exactly to the dimensions of our accordion. And you can easily mimic this with your own photos. It's just best to make sure you first size your accordion the way you want it, and then use the pixel dimensions of each section as your template for sizing up your photos before importing them into Muse. And of course you can click on each of these faces here in Muse to cycle through and edit accordingly. Now keep in mind that this accordion is only present on the two largest breakpoints. Once you get down to 768, it reverts back to a more mobile appropriate layout. So I'm going to click over to our portfolio page. I'm not going to go into too much detail here as there's already so much covered on our Media Pro Gallery 2 tutorial video. But we have a fully responsive thumbnail gallery implemented here with sortable categories. And some collections have already been preset and implemented here on the left side of the canvas. But definitely make sure to check out that tutorial if you haven't yet. It's a recently released and totally revamped version of our Media Pro Gallery widget, which has some really slick new features. Now lastly, I'm going to jump over to our contact page. We have two buttons here linking to two separate contact form pages that you'll find as child pages to the contact page. And beneath that we have a rectangle with an image fill. And you can select it and visit the fill menu to change that out at any time. And you can even click over to our scroll tab here to see how we have that 3D type motion set. You can see that all the scrolling motion here has been set to 0, and that's what's giving us that really cool kind of locked in place effect when scrolling past this image. So I think that just about covers it, guys. Have a blast with this one and customize it to your heart's content. And of course, we're all ears if you have any concerns, ideas, or questions. Happy designing.